it takes you a couple of seconds to realize they're not talking about a new species of mango that they discovered at Ematusin, but they're talking about you, my friend. You are that exotic piece of fruit. Good day, learning viewer, and welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, and if you haven't, then I hope to see you here again. Last week I started a new series called A Safa's Guide to Surviving Norway, based off of FAQs or frequently asked questions that I get when I go home or visit friends from elsewhere about living in Norway. Last week's question was, how do you survive the cold, dark winter months in the Nordic countries? So if you want to watch that, then you'll find the link in the description box below. Today's question is, are there any black people in Norway? As a response to that, the topic of today's video is being an exotic curiosity in Norway. In the early days, I remember one of the first things that I was wondering about before I actually moved here was what the diversity picture is like in Norway. So when I arrived, I was actually pleasantly surprised and relieved to find that while it is a largely homogeneous country, I wasn't the only little peppercorn in a sea of non-peppercorn. So there is actually quite a lot of diversity in Bergen. I think many people can attest to the fact that it's actually increased a lot in the last couple of years. Not sure if that's connected more to just job opportunities here or if it's connected to the refugee crisis that's been happening over the last few years. I'm not sure, but it's definitely even gotten a lot more diverse even in the couple of years that I've been here. The main different communities of people that I've come across, you'll find sort of the British people, people from India, Caribbean people. You have Eastern Europeans from their various countries. You have the Philippine community, which is quite big and active here in Bergen. You have the African community. Many West Africans from Liberia, from Ghana, from Nigeria, and also some other countries. Sierra Leone, I think there's quite a few people as well. There's quite a few East Africans as well. And there's few enough Southern Africans that we've just basically made our own big country. There's probably so few Namibians that the South African will do. So few Zimbabweans that the South African will do. And that's just the way it is. There's an entire week that's just dedicated to African arts and culture. You have Miss Africa Bergen, like a full-on beauty pageant. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So the community has established itself enough, and yeah. One thing I'm not sure about is the level of integration. I don't know. I can't say. Like, there's certain parts of the city that you walk through and you're like, okay, this is the Somali area. This is where I am now. So I'm not sure how well integrated like all the different communities are. Or if it's more that they kind of just stick to their different pockets and just coexist in Bergen and occasionally mingle. I'm not really sure. But I'll maybe try and do a little bit of research into that and find out. To speak a little bit on my personal experience, I can share a couple of anecdotes. I want to keep the tone of this video a little bit light and tongue-in-cheek, so please don't take anything I say too seriously. The first thing that I was made aware of when I moved here was that at the time, I don't know what's happened now, but at the time there was a very big human trafficking ring, and most of the women who were trafficked were either from Africa or Eastern Europe. So much so that even, by the time you're coming out of the cinema at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock, street corners were dotted and lined with street workers. And I was thinking, okay, so people are just going to look at me and assume I'm a prostitute because of my skin color? I can't be that bad. Until someone did it to me twice. I won't lie, at the time I cried about it because no woman ever wants to be compared to a prostitute. And I was coming home from the cinema one time. The first time I was with a guy friend. So my guy friend chased away the person who was trying to solicit me. The second time I was with a female friend, so the guy was a lot braver. And we were walking home. I'm guessing it was like 9 or 10 at night, something like that. It wasn't super late. And we're walking and this guy comes and he's like, he called me the N-word. He was like, oh, please, how much? Come tell me how much. And I got so angry, but I didn't say anything to him because like I didn't know what to say because my mind just went blank. And secondly, if this guy wanted to throw fists, I don't know what I would have done. I've never hit anyone in my life, so I can't fight. I wouldn't have been able to defend myself. And again, I'm laughing about it now. It hasn't happened in a couple of years. I don't know if something about my facial expression just says, don't even try. Yeah, there was one occasion where I was told I should go back to my own country. I didn't understand a word of Norwegian back then, so it really just went over my head. My friend had to translate, and by the time she had translated and had already laughed about it, I would have felt stupid getting angry about it, so I just laughed as well. The guy who was shouting the abuse was a heroin junkie who was so high he couldn't even actually stand up straight. How do you get angry at a heroin junkie? Thank God, like, I don't have issues like that. So for me to start fighting in the middle of the street with somebody who's like a shell of a human being doesn't even make sense. If you look a bit South American or Spanish or anything that looks a little bit different, there are certain demographics of local males who will give you a little bit of extra and very unwanted and unpleasant attention. Yeah, so that's kind of gross. Another funny thing that I can kind of laugh about now is the hair issue, guys. I know I rant and I rave and I complain about hair all the time, and I won't stop until I feel like people actually understand what I'm trying to say. So I really hate running. I hate it. I don't like running. Running is painful for me. When I think about going for a run, I get heart palpitations because I'm anticipating how much I'm gonna hate it. But I do it because it's good for you. So one day I'd managed to drag myself up Fløyen or to Fjellveien to go for a run. And I remember another friend of mine had said that she might be running the same route later that day. So as I'm running and huffing and puffing along this path, I felt the touch on my shoulder. When I felt this touch on my shoulder, I assumed it was my friend because she's always teasing me. I'm always at the back of the pack. I'm the slowest runner in our group, and she's always kind of like, hurry up, stop being lazy kind of thing. So I just thought, oh, here she is. She's already caught up to me. She's going to give me grief. So I turned my head, getting ready to greet her, and I somehow noticed that an entire, thick twist is suspended in the air, and at the end of that twist is a hand. And that hand doesn't belong to my friend, but to a lady that I've never seen before. And she and her partner or husband or boyfriend or whatever he was are both smiling in a jolly smile, like, oh, look how delightful the hair. And she looks at me, she's like, oh, so fin hair, oh, you have so fin hair. And I was like, I don't know who you are. Why are you touching me? I'm trying to exercise. This is a difficult and painful enough activity as it is, and now you're a strange woman grabbing up. What? Guys, this is not normal behavior. Please don't let anyone allow you to think that it's normal to go up to a complete stranger and grab their hair because it makes you curious and it's interesting, you haven't seen it before. Another funny observation is staring. Now, me, when I'm out and about, I don't pay attention to my environment. I don't look people in the eye as I'm walking past, so try and investigate and see what's happening in the world. I have my earphones in, I'm looking straight ahead or at the ground, and I'm somewhere inside here. So I don't notice things like that. When my cousin came to visit a couple of months ago, she had observed, she was like, wow, people here stare a lot. And I was like, okay. It's not necessarily malicious. I wouldn't say that I've caught anyone staring at me maliciously at all. Slightly older people. I'm not even talking about like 60 or 70. I'm talking about 40 something, not old, but a few years older. And they'll, as long as you don't catch them, they will stare. And some of them, when you catch them staring, they keep staring and then you just don't really know what to do. If someone asks me where I'm from and I say I'm from South Africa, it's often, oh, we love Nelson Mandela over here. Oh my gosh, we just love him. Oh, what a man. Wow, Nelson Mandela. It's so sad that he died. Oh, Nelson Mandela. And I'm just standing there like, do you need a tissue? They really love Nelson Mandela here, guys. I've also managed to disappoint quite a few Norwegians by telling them that racism didn't end when apartheid ended. A few Norwegians I'd spoken to who said that they had traveled to South Africa sometime in the 80s and they were so shocked. How could this be? How could it be like this? Oh, but of course that's all over now, right? So of course, you know, things are wonderful now since Mandela came and saved South Africa. And I had to be the one to be like, well, actually, no. A high school friend of mine went up to some little dorpie in Drakensberg less than 10 years ago, fewer than 10 years ago, English grammar. And she went to a little store, convenience store, where they still had a black line and a white line. It looked like I broke someone's heart and someone's dream. It just shattered all their waka waka dreams.
Because this is Africa.
Yeah, so disappointed a couple of people that way. Somebody at some point is going to call you exotic. Introduce yourself, tell them, oh, my name is Ashani from South Africa, and the next thing is, oh wow, how exotic. And it takes you a couple of seconds to realize they're not talking about a new species of mango that they discovered at Ematusen, but they're talking about you, my friend. You are that exotic piece of fruit. So exotic and exciting and just waiting to be sampled. I'm not a fruit, please. I'm not exotic. I'm just foreign. So here's the thing about being a foreigner trying to find an apartment in Bergen. And this is not just black people or people who look physically different. This I've noticed, and I've been told as well, applies to foreigners in general. As long as you are the wrong kind of foreign, then you won't get anywhere to rent. And the way I found that out was because one day I was lamenting to my colleagues at work. I was like, oh, it's actually quite difficult to get accommodation here. We went on our 16th viewing last week and still can't find a place. And my colleagues asked, oh, where's your housemate from? I told them where she's from. And they were like, my Norwegian colleagues, mind you, they were like, yeah, you guys are gonna have a really hard time. I was like, why? She was like, it's just the way it is. Like, as a foreigner in Bergen, it's going to be really, really difficult. Have you considered just buying a house together? It would be easier for you to buy a house in some cases than to just continue running around for like 5-6 months trying to find a place to live. But anyway, like, these are just things from my little South African perspective. I'd love to hear if, especially if you're from a different African country or a different cultural group, or if you grew up in Norway or have spent the better part of the last 10 or 15 years in Norway, but you're ethnically not Norwegian. I'd love to hear your experiences as well. Have you had some similar experiences? Have you had absolutely none of the experiences I'm talking about? You know, some different experiences that you could share. I would really love to know if there's something that's kind of common, or, you know, just something we can giggle about. Again, this video is meant to be a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I'm sharing real experiences, but I don't take them that seriously anymore. And I don't think you should either. That's just my opinion. So yeah, come with your contributions in the comment section. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video, 2 Wednesdays from now. And until then, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And other than that, all I have to say is bye.